Hey y'all, it's a wrap, aka Yudi here. And mostly on my channel, I talk about books from mostly Black authors. But sometimes I like to talk about film. And this year, Is God Is might have been one of my favorite films. It explores Black women's rage through twin sisters who are set on a journey to kill their father, who left their mother completely disfigured from their abusive relationship that they were in, that she ultimately tried to leave, and then he ultimately tried to kill her, but she survived. And this play-turn movie explores that. And I know that the film got mixed reviews, but for the most part, I love the film. It's probably number one. Also, another film this year that technically came out last year, but another film that's strongly contending with Is God Is My Father's Shadow, which I also really enjoyed. But this isn't about My Father's Shadow. This is about Is God Is. So I was in my bed thinking about Is God Is and the reception that it received, and also thinking about Is God Is in conjunction with everything that's happening with Children of Blood and Bone, and how that conversation ultimately is delving into, I think, a conversation that repeatedly happens with Black films, that us as viewers have to go out and support Black film, which I think that is a small piece of a bigger problem within the film industry in terms of Black directors and creators. It starts from the time that they're asking for money to make the film. But I was thinking about that film, and I was thinking, I did a video about 40 films that I want to watch this year. And I know I need to update y'all on the films that I've watched, because I have been watching the films on that list. It's just, I've had so many complicated feelings about some of these films that I've watched. And it has led me into also thinking about other literature that I can read in conjunction with these films, and it's a whole thing, right? And I know I need to update everybody, but I'll link the video of the 40 films that I want to watch if you're interested in also knowing about 40 Black obscure, quote unquote, obscure Black films that you could follow along and watch as well. But if you remember from that video, a running theme within that video was that a lot of these films came out, had limited releases, ultimately fell into obscurity because of the fight from the beginning to get funding, and then also to get distribution. And sometimes it may be because of the subject theme, or you just not being able to have the backing they need to reach the audiences that they want to reach. They ultimately disappear until some small distribution company decides that they want to bring it out from obscurity and make it somewhat accessible to the public yet again. And it made me think about Is God Is, because I think whether you loved or hated the film, I think it was a film that discussed and explored something that we rarely get to see on screen and think deeply and engage with deeply on screen. And for me, that is Black women in rage. And because, the BookTube channel, I started to think about what are books that I read that I know that women in rage is a subject, but what about specifically Black women in rage? I could not think of a book, or I could, but I couldn't think of a book that truly encapsulated what the film encapsulated completely. I mean, I tried, and I'll give you my list, but I really couldn't. And then I had to look, how long was Is God Is in theaters? And I looked. And granted, this might not be accurate, but the answer I came back with was 20 days, that it had a major release. 20 days, so what's 20 days? A little over 2 weeks, a little under 3 weeks. So then I decided to look as closest as in terms of film theme or audience. I tried to look from closest to most distant. So the next film that I feel like is not in conversation, but is close in comparison to Is God Is, not in terms of subject, just in terms of a mainstream, big box theater film. I thought of Boots Riley, I Love Boosters, which came out, I think, the week following Is God Is. And that film was out for about 2.1 weeks is what it came out to. So a little over 2 weeks as well. So they pretty much had the same runtime in terms of major release. I think you can still watch I Love Boosters in like your smaller theaters. I know I've seen some of, I'm in Baltimore, I think the Charles was showing it a little bit after its major release run. And then the third one I looked at, which also came out around the same time, or maybe a little bit earlier, was The Devil Wears Prada 2, which I would think is a more major release. That film was in the theater for 12 weeks, so it was in the theater for 3 months. And I know big films aren't, first of all, films aren't in the theater as long as they used to be because people are now streaming, so it's going quicker into streaming. I should have looked to see if Is God Is available on streaming as well as I Love Boosters, but the fact that they got such a short release, I think greatly affects the conversations that we have around these films. But I think the theme of Black women in rage is one that's not often talked about or explored. And I just wanted to come up with some books that are in conversation with Is God Is, because I can't think of many films that explored what Is God Is explores for Black women, which is why I think maybe it's a film that I particularly enjoyed. So first, I want to bring up a book that I haven't read, but is nonfiction, and I think explicitly discusses what the film explores. And that book is Vengeance, Feminism by Kaylee Gross. And of course, I have this book linked. I believe it's a Haymark, or was it Hachette? I think it was a Hachette. It was published by Hachette. And this book came out 2 years ago, so it's not even that old. But this explores the power of Black women's rage and fury during the times that we live in. And I think this is good nonfiction feminist theory essay type book to read and explore that theme that was explored within the book. Nonfiction that I've actually read that I think touches on Black women in rage, maybe not like the whole book, but there is a moment and then it goes trees out from there, or maybe it starts on the higher part and then it narrows in. And I've read these. I don't know if I love all of these, but maybe you will. So The Exes by Leodora Darlington. I read that earlier this year. This is a new release. This came out this year. And I believe the main character's name was Natalie. But Natalie is learning that all the past men that she's been with have turned up dead. And she doesn't know why. So I don't know what you consider that, like a Black widow. But she doesn't know why. And I don't know if I can give too much else of the book out without revealing too much. And then the next book that I think explores, this one I'm going to have more thoughts about, that touches on, I think, Black women in rage, is Ava's Man by Gayl Jones. Hear me out, because I know some people that read the book like, I don't know if that really touches on rage. And we can have a conversation, because I have room for people to be like, girl, I disagree. I don't think this touches on Black women in rage. But, so Ava is in jail because she bit off a man's private parts, a man's junk. And as she's in jail, is going back and forth from her past to the moment that she meets the man and does what she does, and the present with her being in jail. And technically, Ava is at wit's end. I think what she does to this man was an amalgamation and accumulation of all of the ways that she has been harmed and unprotected, and it all adds up into this moment, which I think is her rage. And then the next one is, I think, goes into Black women in rage, is The Street by Petry. I don't know, every time there's a recommendation, somehow The Street's gonna end up in here. But Ludi, without giving away the book, Ludi is really trying. He's really trying to get her son to a better place and off the street. And people are making it hard, y'all. People are making it hard, okay? Life is lifing. And it weighs on her. That's all I'm gonna say. It weighs on her because I also don't want to give away the book. But I think this is another one that if you see how all the things come together to this moment that I think encaptures Black women in rage. The next one is Honey by Imani Thompson. I have not read this book, but from what I understand of Honey, again, for those who have read it, y'all can let me know that, like, girl, no, this actually doesn't encapture rage. If anything, Honey is giving me the Exes vibe without giving away the Exes. So this book follows a graduate student who murders men in the name, or bad men, in the name of feminism. This is on my list of books to read. I just haven't read it, but I think this also encapsulates Black women in rage. And then the last book I have that I think captures Black women in rage the most, or maybe, it's the closest to what I think Black women in rage. It's closest to Is God Is in terms of the way that explores Black women in rage, is Cutthroat by Octavia Gant. And I believe this is a series. And also it's a novella. It's not that long. I don't even think it's 200 pages. It's only 170. I just had to see how many pages it is. It's 176 pages. And this one also didn't come out that long ago. This came out last year. Without giving away too much of the book, let's see if I can give a good summary. So the main character, I believe her name was Eden. She is going to marry a man who I believe is her college sweetheart. And everything seems perfect until she learns something about that man, and it changes the way that she views him forever. And I think these books, again, capture Black women in rage. Let me know if you can think of any other books that capture Black women in rage, because this was really hard. But I did it. So let me know how you feel about these books, whether or not you feel these books actually capture Black women in rage, or in somewhat of a conversation with Is God Is. And also, if you like Is God Is, I know that got mixed reviews, but I absolutely love that film and what it explored. So until the next time, y'all, we'll continue our conversation down in the comments. Deuces.